If you're like me, your fantasy team is likely stacked with a bunch of highly talented, high scoring state of origin players, and you're wondering which ones do I hold? Well, guys, we're going to answer that question today. Welcome back. I'm Longy, got Monty here too. We're going to be talking about the state of origin players that you should hold and the ones that you should sell through this major buy round period. Now, as always, this advice attacks overall coaches, but it is somewhat relevant to head-to-head coaches if you do play through this period as well. Monty, how you feeling heading into Origin?
Yeah, not too bad. It's come up really quickly. I remember I felt like last week it was just round 1, but we're now up to round 11. And then these Origin players, sometimes you can get stuck with too many of them, which can hurt you. But this video, we're going to go through the best Origin players to hold and sell.
Yeah, so it's a really interesting phenomenon here. The players who have a great buy round schedule as non-Origin players, so the guys we talk about targeting, like the Bulldogs, the Roosters, the Seagulls, that sort of thing, they're the best players to have through the Origin period if they don't play Origin. But if they do play Origin, that strength becomes a weakness. Because what happens here, I'll just show you this quickly, is they will miss these major rounds. So rounds 12, round 15, round 18, because they play State of Origin. They then also miss the minor buy rounds that those teams have. Whereas a non-Origin player is going to be available to play those 12, 15, 18 type rounds. And they're going to be sort of much stronger through this period. So when you have a player in your team who plays Origin and also misses some of these minor buy rounds, I'll use an example here. You look at the Roosters, right? They'll miss round 12, they'll play round 13, they'll miss round 14, 15, play round 16, then they'll miss round 17 and round 18 as well. So it's 5 rounds in 7 weeks that they're going to miss there, which is pretty massive here. Now, let's start working through this list here. Payne Haas, pretty easy one here, right? You hold on to him, he only misses the majors.
Yeah, he's one of the best players in the game. He's an easy hold. And yeah, as the buy schedules, Broncos, they've lost a couple games, and I'm sure they'll need Haas to compete again.
Yeah, big time. I agree with that. Cleary and Yo is really interesting. So if we have a look at this list again, guys, the Panthers are at around the eye of Origin there, so around 10 down. But you see for the Panthers, they miss the 3 major buy rounds there. They don't seem to have any other problems here. So on first look, you'd think this is pretty good. But then you have to factor in that round 11 is this week. They missed this week as well. And round 16, the Panthers play in New Zealand on, I believe it's Friday of that week. It's either Friday or Saturday. It's very soon after Origin on Wednesday. So they're playing New Zealand. Origin's over in Perth, and they're essentially facing a very long commute. So Ivan Cleary's already come out and said they're not going to back up, right? So you're going to have your Panthers players missing this week, next week. They'll play 2 weeks. They'll miss another 2 weeks. They'll play 1 week. They'll miss another 1 week. So from my perspective, it's pretty easy to sell Isaiah Yeo. But then when I go to Nathan Cleary, I think, all right, he's going to miss the next 2 weeks, but he has the Eels and the Tigers in those 2 weeks after that. I've got enough guys I can sell right now. I'm thinking about holding him at this stage.
Yeah, I'm with you, Long. Isaiah Yeo for me is you can move him on this week. There are plenty of other good mid options which can help you throughout these buy rounds. And Nathan Cleary, I reckon he's a hold. He's similar to Haas, best player in the game, and he's still got money to make. So if you sell him now and he comes out against Parramatta and goes berserk, you're left chasing your tail.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess there is one factor here. He will be backing up from Origin round 13. So they've been carrying Schneider on the bench, playing 0 minutes. So I guess they'll probably do that again in that week. So you could get a rest in that game. That is one slight concern there. Then we go to Connor Watson. And Connor Watson's the first one here that is a bit of an up-in-the-air selection. Like, he's not a guarantee to make the Blues side, but looks pretty firm to do it. If you have him in your team, you'd hold him this week. But let's assume he makes Origin. Now, if he makes Origin, you can see he's right there in the not-so-friendly, as you've called it very democratically. Yep. Buy round teams, not so friendly. And for Connor Watson, if we just find the Roosters on this list, they're about halfway down in line with the G in Origin. So the Roosters miss round 12. They play round 13. They missed round 14. He plays Origin again round 15, plays Origin in round 18, but will also miss round 17. So again, he's one that misses a bunch of games through this period. Absolutely brutal. If Connor Watson makes Origin, he is the firmest sell of all sells next week.
Yeah, I think that all Rooster and Origin players, even Angus Crichton, I don't think Connor Watson will be playing that big minute role, but if Trent Robinson decides to rest him, he could miss, 6 out of the next 8 games. So I just think if he makes Origin, no-brainer, time to sell him.
Yeah, big time. Easy sell for him. Then Corey Horsburgh's up next. Horsburgh fits into the not-so-friendly as well, but it's not as brutal for Corey Horsburgh. So again, just finding the Raiders right down the bottom of this list. It's not too tough just yet. So you could start off and keep him for a little bit. The issue is that you've got so many middle forwards who cover these sort of minor buy rounds. So he's not that valuable to you. But his miss there is round 19, right? So until that point, he's just going to miss the majors. It's not a big rush to sell Corey Horsburgh. I also throw in the fact that he's not a guarantee to make Origin, right? So he's a hold this week, but if he makes the Origin side, are you looking at selling him?
I agree. If he makes Origin, I'm selling him. But if he doesn't make Origin, I'm planning on holding him throughout this whole buy rounds, like because I think they have a buy in round 15, I
Yep.
think, but then they play round 18. But yeah, if he makes it Origin side, unfortunately, he's had a good run on my side, but
Yep.
I'll be moving him on.
Yeah, buys around 15 and 19 for him. So he'd play the 12 and 18 majors. But a lot of people are getting Tarpanay as well. So they're looking pretty covered. And I'll tell you what, round 15 for middle forwards, pretty bare, unless you've
Yeah.
got the great Jazz Tavanga.
Oof,
I'm hearing
Jazz.
more and more that Jake Trbojevic is going to make the Origin side, by the way.
Would be nice.
Or it could mean that Jazz averages 50 across these three majors, which
Yes.
I'm hoping for. Now, some other guys here, Stephen Crichton, Jacob Kraz, Tom Gilbert. Look, Crichton's a guarantee to make it, not super fantasy relevant. Gilbert is a chance of making it. I think he's a sell anyway at this stage.
Yeah.
But if you had him now, you probably just keep him for the middle cover if he doesn't make Origin. If he does make it, he'll miss round 12, round 13, round 15, but he's not an inspiring one. Kraz is a really interesting one, though. So he's bumped up in price quite a bit. And he was an interesting buy. We did float him as a buy when he was down at like the low 600 sort of price point. He's now 700K, right? So you're not getting a discount there. You're paying probably overs for him at this stage. And you look at the Bulldogs here, they're in line with the R in Origin. So about the seventh team on the board there. But for him, he misses the major Origin rounds. So he'll miss 12 and 13. He'll play round 14. He'll miss round 15, 16, play round 17, miss round 18. Now, this one's made more complicated by the fact that if he does get into the Origin side, it's probably due to injury or, form of Lomax and To'o. And those guys will be all good by round 15, you would expect. So that's sort of the upside there. But the downside is they're both carrying injury. So they could get re-injured. There's a lot of things that could happen that could lead to Kiraz playing Origin again. I just think with him, you just have to not buy him this week. If you bought him over the last few weeks and you got the scores, it's been worth it. But this week, you don't buy him this week. You wait on the cash. I'll throw a question to you here, Monty, though. If he scores well this week, then makes Origin, is he a sell or do you hold on because he's been so good?
Well, I think if he does go well this week, I reckon you do hold on because there is a chance that, maybe for game 2, if Blues lose, he might be dropped for another winger. But I think if he comes out and goes nuts, he's an easy hold.
Yeah, I agree with that because if he gets dropped from the Origin side, he'll play round 15 and round 18. So he's got that same sort of schedule as like the Dragons, those types of players that we're recommending holding on to. So it could be a real value guy. So that's Kiraz there. And then look, there's some other guys we want to talk about here too. I'm just going to jump across to the fantasy website here. So some other options that are playing through this period. Terrell May is a big one. A lot of people are thinking about Terrell May. I don't think many people are considering selling him. There's a couple of reasons for it too. One, he won't play the most major role in Origin. I expect him to play minutes that are well within himself as a debutant. 2, he's not guaranteed to make the side. And 3, he's not guaranteed to keep his spot if they lose, right? So there's every chance that Terrell May is available for some of these major buy rounds, and he should be backing up in the minor buy rounds as well. So from my perspective, this is an easy hold. Terrell May, you stick with him. You don't need the cash anyway. Let's ride that wave. Then Hudson Young, I'll throw to you. What do you think here? If let's say he gets named on the bench, what are you doing with this one?
If he gets named on the bench, I feel like he's an easy hold if he is on the bench because if he get names on the bench, he could play that half an hour, 20-minute role, and then you'd assume that he'd back up with Ricky Stewart, and then maybe around 15 you could move him on because that's when they have the buy. But I think if he gets named on the bench, he's an easy hold for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. Good matchups here too. He's in form. Hopefully gets sparked up by Origin as well. If he plays big minutes, if he starts an Origin, then I think it's a bit of a different conversation. But they don't have the backup now. Yeah. So when Nicholson was still fit and Hosking was on the bench, I would have been more in the camp of selling him. But now with that change, they don't have the backup. Like Simi Sasangi is their next back rower, and he's probably not the most capable guy compared to the starters they've had. Then going down the list here, Isaiah, we talked about Kiraz, Big Tino, Bo Firma. Both of these guys in pretty cracking form, presenting a positional advantage here too. What do you think of these guys? Would you be holding them? Would you be selling you on the fence? Like, what are your thoughts here?
I feel like Tino for me is someone you can sell because I feel like he'll have a massive. He missed Origin last year. I reckon Slater's got him in for a big role, so I reckon either be arrested or come back in reduced minutes, which could see his price drop. But Bo Firma, I mean, he's a pretty valuable centre to have. But with all the centres going around, I'm happy to sell him as well. He's just we're very lucky this year with the centres we have and edges. So you can make the case for both, but I'd probably be looking to holding Bo Firma.
Yeah, Bo's a season keeper. Tino is a keeper too, but you're right. He's going to have to play a huge role for them because you look at their forward pack and he's going to have to step up, probably be at lock. Him and Carrigan are their best forwards, so I'm expecting big minutes from him against a very tough physical forward pack for the Blues. He'll be bruised and battered. And the Titans as well. I don't know. It's too early to say this, but their season looks a bit in tatters. I doubt they're going to try and run him into the ground this year.
Yeah,
you throw in the fact that they've got Jolliffe, who stepped up last year, played big minutes. He could do that again. RCG, a new acquisition who hasn't really stepped up yet, but looked a bit better last week, and Fodawaker, who's in a bit of form. So they can afford to give him a bit of a rest and hopefully do that. And they did that with Fafita at times when he played Origin as well. So they've got a track record of it. But for Bo Firma, I think, hold on to him. Ride the wave. He's been quality. Down the list here, James Tedesco, Latrell Mitchell. These are probably the last two to talk about here. So the big Teddy. Do you hang on to Ted or like what are you thinking here? Let's say he's the 18th man or something like that. Like would you hang on to him then if he's going to back up? But actually, sorry, not hang on to him. Would you buy him knowing he's the 18th man in the Blues side?
Ooh, I mean, it's tough because then he's a Dylan Edwards groin away from being in that role. So if he's 18th man,
let's say Edwards was under a bit of an injury cloud. Because that was what it was like last year, right? So it's a real scenario.
If that's a scenario again, I'd look to avoid him, unfortunately. But like for me right now, James Tedesco is in my plans for next week if Edwards is picked. So if he's 18th man, I mean, yes, it's very similar to Carraz, I feel, all those weeks ago. Like, do you get him Origin around the corner? You just hold off. So if he's 18th man, I'd have to hold off from Teddy for now.
So don't swim in murky waters is what I'm hearing here. Only jump in if it's clear as
100%.
Clear as rain. I agree with you there. You don't want these problems to arise. Like you make your buy plans. We have very small squads in fantasy as well. So you have to be precise. You have to really nail it. If you have a guy like Tedesco, who we talked about the Roosters buy schedule, who misses a bunch of minor rounds, round 14, round 17, then also misses all those majors, it's a total disaster for you. On the same vein, Tommy Turbo, let's say he doesn't make the side. I think he's one of the more interesting options going around. And I've got Jenkins sitting there in my team. Jenkins to Turbo may end up being close to a straight swap in a couple of weeks' time, which feels like it would have been impossible about a month ago.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Manly, they got Parramatta next week. They got a fair few decent
Titans
fixtures.
round 15 as well. Second major.
So, I mean, Tommy Turbo, he's someone that I've had my eye on watching him drop in price.
Yep.
I think he's the cheapest Trebojevic now, which is crazy to say.
Absurd.
So, yeah, I definitely agree. Tom Trebojevic, definitely keep an eye on him. And if he doesn't make it, I mean, he could be, I wouldn't say must have, but he'd be very high on priority.
Your bet is there on fitness. That's the main thing, right? But those matchups are attractive. I'll be buying him next week 100% if he doesn't make it, by the way, as long as he looks semi-fit this week. Then Trell Mitt had a big game, pumped out a massive score. Definitely boosted it right at the end there with the field goal and the try as well. But look, they all count, right? They all count the same. Latrell is, are we on the same page here? He's guaranteed to make the Origin side.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Yep, cool. So he's in the Blues side. South Sydney have a pretty decent Origin schedule. So as your graphic showed, like it's pretty solid. I still think that this is one that you want to steer clear of because Latrell has a history of not getting through the Origin period unscathed. My guess is with such a capable backup in Jai Gray, they're not going to risk him. They've got Jamie Humphries back as well. Cody Walker comes back soon too. Like, I just don't think they're going to push Latrell too hard through this period. So I think there could be games where, they have Jai Gray on the bench and Latrell plays a half a footy, or it gets a full rest, or that sort of thing as well. And I just think it's not going to be a strong period for him. So personally, I'd say steer clear, but I'm open to other thoughts here.
Yeah, I'm staying clear of him, unfortunately, because he plays, if he does get selected for Origin, he plays 4 out of the next 8 games. And just for Latrell is one of those players who he'll put 110% effort, but he needs that rest. And as what you said, they got Jai Gray. He's had a great start to you. There's no reason just to shut him off completely. So I reckon they'll steer to that. So yeah, Latrell Mitchell avoid for me.
Yep, I'm with you there, man. So that's made you look at the buy rounds there. I'll just jump back to this quickly. So really to summarize here, through the Origin period, it's probably Payne Haas, Terrell May, Nathan Cleary, not even for all of it, maybe only for part of it for Cleary, but May, Haas, Cleary. So we're looking at those 3 big captain options there. And then outside of them, probably not, like I wouldn't target like older players. So I've got Munster in my team. They have a good schedule. He's 30. The Storm are flying. They have Wishart on the bench. Like they've got capable backups. I'm not going to hold Munster through this period. Like I really don't think there are many others. Like it's those big 3. And then if you really like a guy, you can stick with him. Or if you have a player who you think might get dropped out of the team, like Karaz filling 1 game, I'd hold Karaz, by the way. If he was in there for injury and he was looking like dropping out for round 15, so the second origin, I'd keep him. But in general, if a guy's locked into an origin spot, other than the big 3, probably a sell, right?
Yeah, I agree. The big 3, because if you sell them, you'll be left, trying to get them back in your team, and it's just not worth it. I think you just keep them and enjoy the wave.
And we don't need cash. Like we have all these expensive players who got hurt recently, so yeah, easy play. So guys, that's what we're thinking. Keep the big 3. That's Haas, Cleary, May. Outside of that, really look to move on most of your origin players. It's not a big rush too. So if you move on a guy in a couple of weeks' time instead of this week or next week, that's fine as well. Don't feel like you have to do it by round 12, but just generally speaking through this period, which is a 2-month period, it's not 1 week, 2 weeks, it's a long period of time. Just try to move those guys on through this period and try to fill your team with guys who are going to play more rounds. Any last words there, Monty?
Yeah, just for those Origin players, if they do play Origin, they won't lose any cash. So you don't need them, as what you see, you don't even move them on instantly. You can wait a week to see what other options pop up. But yeah.
I guess the big thing too is keep an eye on mail as well. So during Origin, keep an eye if guys are going to back up because Origin's on Wednesday. A lot of them play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That can be risky with backing up. Good luck with your Origin period, guys. We'll see you on the next video.